Hello and welcome to Uzreport World News, and my name is Bahram Ghafarov. Uzbekistan is intending to introduce the Oxford system of education into Presidential University, which is set to open its doors in the capital city of Tashkent in the near future. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev last week said that some 8,000 students will be able to undergo education under the Oxford program. Teachers will be invited from abroad. The British education system is among the best in the world. It's a fact that 50% of our youth who undergo education abroad don't return home. No doubt, wage in foreign countries is higher, but I'm intending to create conditions here. I don't want them to leave, he added. No information has been provided regarding the commissions of the university so far. Armed Forces of Uzbekistan have improved their position in the updated Global Firepower Index 2021, rising to 51st place out of 138 countries. Last year, the country was placed 52nd. It currently holds a power index rating of 0.84.
Armed forces of Uzbekistan have improved their positions in the updated Global Firepower Index 2021, rising to 51st place out of 138 countries. Last year, the country was placed 52nd. It currently holds a power index rating of 0.84. Among the states of the former Soviet Union, the republic is behind Russia, Ukraine and Belarus. Kazakhstan was placed 62nd, Kyrgyzstan 93rd. According to the index, Uzbekistan has 420 tanks, over 1,000 armored vehicles, nearly 100 rocket projectors. The defense budget is estimated at $15 billion. Nevertheless, no official information is available on exact spending on the defense sector.
The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development has published a report on its activities in Uzbekistan in 2020, Central Asia's most populated country. During the year of trials, so aid was $521 million. These funds were pledged through 18 projects to support the country's banking sector and SMEs' access to finance, upgrade key infrastructure and promote the development of renewable energy.
A trade finance package of $220 million was made available to several banks to help exporters and importers mitigate the disruptions that severe market conditions caused in trade and supply chains. SMEs to date create about 50% of Uzbekistan's GDP and employ almost 80% of the workforce. SME earmarked loans collectively worth almost $100 million were provided to Uzbekistan's growing private sector. Loans of up to $12 million under the EBRD's Central Asian Women in Business program were extended to support women-led SME businesses across the country, and 36 immediate digital transition advisory projects focusing on e-learning, e-marketing, cost optimization, digitalization, and online sales were offered to SMEs in sectors affected by the lockdown measures. To support Uzbekistan's green transition, the bank financed its first privately owned and competitively tendered renewable energy project in the country by extending an equity bridge loan for the construction of a 100-megawatt solar photovoltaic plant in the Navoy region of Uzbekistan. By supporting this project, the EBRD contributed to Uzbekistan's objective to generate 8 megawatt of solar and wind power by 2030.
Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are developing a joint tourism program, according to the chairman of the State Tourism Committee of Uzbekistan, Aziz Abduhakimov. It aims at simplifying the border crossing procedure for tourists from both countries.
Such a tourist corridor would be of great interest. This is Aristan Bab Mausoleum in the Turkestan region, then the mausoleum of Ahmad Yasavi, the next mausoleum of Hakim Ata, and the final point is our mausoleum of Zangiata. All of them were students of Ahmad Yasavi, Abduhakimov said. To raise the interest of tourists, the authorities plan to simplify the rules for crossing the border. A unified visa regime is set to allow people to easily enter the territory of the neighbors. Now we have agreed that very convenient conditions will be created on the border of the two countries between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan to reduce and simplify border crossing procedures. A lot of work has been done on the Uzbek side. Now the Kazakh side at the post of Zhibek Jolie is doing a lot of work on their reconstruction. I think that this work should be continued in other posts so that tourist buses could cross the border with minimal time costs, the chairman added. Another way to increase the tourism potential would be the opening of the new transport corridors. The Kazakh government has already agreed with the Uzbek side on the construction of a new railway line.
In continuation of Uzbekistan's tourism, the Uzbek government has granted foreign airlines new discounts as part of measures to promote ziyarat tourism. According to Uzbekistan airports, foreign airlines are granted a discount of up to 50% to the published tariffs for the main types of ground handling services for aircraft at international airports. In addition, in order to expand the geography of flights and improve the attractiveness of the airports of Uzbekistan, foreign airlines are to enjoy differentiated discount of up to 30% to the published tariffs for the main types of aircraft ground handling services. A new branch of St. Petersburg University will soon open in Tashkent. It will also be cooperating with the University of Oriental Studies. The decision was made when Uzbekistan's Minister of Higher Education paid a visit to Russia.
The branch will start educational activities from the 2021-2022 academic year. Curricula and programs are approved by St. Petersburg State University. Training in the branch will be conducted in the areas of bachelor's and master's degrees, including Eastern languages, country studies, economics of Eastern countries, and biomedicine. St. Petersburg State University is one of the oldest, largest, and the leading classical universities. The educational institution is among the top 100 universities in the world with the highest quality of education. Some of the graduates of this university were Nobel laureates such as Pavlov, Putin, Medvedev, and others. Graduates of the branch will be issued university diplomas of the established sample, recognized as a document on higher education in Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan's Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, Sardar Umurzakev, and his Saudi colleague Khalid Al-Falih held talks on the current state of bilateral investment cooperation on Saturday. The topics included trade, economic investment, energy, cultural and humanitarian spheres. Khalid Al-Falih commented the experience of work of Saudi companies in Uzbekistan energy sector.
In March 2020, an agreement was reached with ACWA Power to build a thermal power plant in the Sirdarya province worth some $1.2 billion. Khalid Al-Falih expressed interest in expanding investment cooperation. In this regard, the parties agreed to organize a visit of the Minister of Investment of Saudi Arabia to Uzbekistan at the head of the Saudi business delegation this month. The parties plan to conduct Uzbek-Saudi Business Forum featuring presentations on investment cooperation. The events will include the first meeting of the Uzbek-Saudi Business Council with the involvement of the Chambers of Commerce and Industry of the two countries, as well as meetings in G2D, G2B, and B2B formats to reach specific agreements on the most promising investment projects. In addition, it is planned to hold a groundbreaking ceremony at the construction site of a thermal power plant in Sirdarya province, the signing of an investment agreement with ACWA Power for the construction of a wind farm in Uzbekistan worth $1.4 billion, as well as the opening of an energy college in Shirin city.
As of January 1, 2021, the resident population of Uzbekistan has reached 34.5 million people, having increased by 653,000 year-on-year. The highest numbers are in Samarkand with 3.9 million and Fergana 3.8 million. The least number of citizens were registered in Sirdarya at 861,000 people. The capital city now has a population at 2.6 million people.
Law enforcement officials across the country prepared for potentially violent protests by Trump supporters on Sunday, ahead of President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration later this week. Security officials identified Sunday as the first possible major flashpoint, as that is when the anti-government Boogaloo movement made plans to hold rallies in all 50 states. Capitals and battleground states where Trump has directed his baseless claims of voter fraud were on especially high alert, including Michigan, where a small group of armed protesters gathered outside the state's capital in Lansing. Boogaloo boy Duncan Lemp said he believed November's election was fraudulent, but he had not come on Sunday to start a fight.
No, the idea of today, we've been planning this rally since long before the 6th, long before the 6th. The 6th changed everything for us. It made us really worried about coming out here. Obviously, you see the fences. They were really worried. The FBI stopped by my work 3 days ago to talk to me about coming out here. And it changed a lot. We were coming out here for unity, trying to get Antifa, Proud Boys, BLM, the militias all together just to have a conversation. We don't have to come out and fight every time we come out. We can just talk.
22-year-old Timothy Teagan is also a member of the Boogaloo movement.
I believe we haven't had a fair election in a very long time. It's not just this one. It was last election before that. We haven't had a fair election since we have allowed lobbyist fundings into our politics. We haven't had a fair election since corporations have decided to make the wills for us rather than the politicians representing the people.
More than a dozen states have activated National Guard troops to help secure their Capitol buildings, following an FBI warning of the potential for future violence leading up to the inauguration on Wednesday, with some right-wing extremists emboldened by the deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol in Washington on January 6th. But some militia members said they would not attend a long-planned pro-gun demonstration in Virginia on Monday, and other militias and extremist groups have told followers to stay home this weekend, citing the increased security or the risk that the planned events were law enforcement traps. The leader of the Pennsylvania Lightfoot Militia said his group had no plans this weekend to be in Harrisburg, where the Capitol has been fortified with barricades and will be protected by hundreds of members of its National Guard. The U.S. Justice Department said on Sunday that it had arrested an elected official from New Mexico who had vowed to travel to Washington, D.C. with firearms to protest the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. According to documents posted on the Justice Department's website, Coy Griffin, a New Mexico County commissioner and founder of a group called Cowboys for Trump, was arrested in Washington on charges related to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Griffin was among the thousands who stormed the Capitol building in an attempt to block Congress from certifying Biden's victory over President Donald Trump, according to charging documents. Authorities say he returned to New Mexico after the riot, where he said at a January 14th meeting of the Otero County Council that he planned to drive back to Washington with a rifle and a revolver to protest Biden's inauguration this Wednesday. It was not immediately clear whether Griffin was carrying firearms when he was arrested on Sunday. He has been charged with knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted building or grounds without lawful authority.
Influential rock producer Phil Spector, who changed pop music and his appearance often after he was charged and then convicted of murder, has died at the age of 81. The Bronx-born musician produced 20 top 40 hits between 1961 and 1965 and went on to work with the Beatles on Let It Be. He's credited with influencing legendary musicians, including Bruce Springsteen and the Beach Boys, with his signature production technique called the Wall of Sound, which layered pop and even classical instruments into a full, lush sound that was new to pop records at the time. But Spector had a troubled life and suffered bouts of severe depression. He also had a long-standing reputation for gunplay. In 2003, 40-year-old actress Lana Clarkson was killed by a shot to the mouth fired from Spector's gun in his castle-like mansion outside Los Angeles. Spector was ultimately convicted of second-degree murder in a second trial after the first trial deadlocked in 2007. His death was confirmed on Sunday in a statement from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, saying Spector died of natural causes at an outside hospital and that his official cause of death will be determined by the medical examiner. The Daily Mail reported that he was diagnosed with COVID-19 4 weeks ago and transferred to a hospital from his prison cell, where he had been serving a 19 years to life sentence for the murder of Clarkson.
A South Korean court sentenced the de facto head of Samsung Electronics to 2.5 years in jail on Monday. J.Y. Lee was found guilty of bribery, embezzlement and concealment of criminal proceeds worth about $7.8 million. This won't be his first stretch of time in jail. Lee was first convicted of bribing an associate of former President Park Geun-hye in 2017. He only ended up serving a year of a 5-year sentence after he was granted an early release on appeal. The Supreme Court later sent the case back to the Seoul High Court, which handed down this latest ruling on Monday. Lee's lawyer spoke to reporters outside the court.
The nature of this case is the former president's abuse of power, violating corporate freedom and property rights. Given that nature, the court's decision is regrettable.
Lee has led Samsung, the world's largest smartphone and memory chip maker, since his father was hospitalized after a heart attack in 2014. The elder Lee died in October, but the chairmanship he held has yet to be filled. With this sentencing, Lee will be sidelined from major decision-making at Samsung as it strives to overtake competitors in areas such as AI. He'll also be out of overseeing the process of inheritance from his father. Monday's case had been seen as a test for how South Korea's judiciary treats its chaebol, its big family-owned conglomerates. Samsung and companies like it have been long credited with building Asia's fourth largest economy, but criticised for wielding too much power and influence. Lee can appeal his sentence at the Supreme Court, but legal experts say that because the court has already ruled on it once, chances are low that its interpretation will change.
So far, these were the latest news for today. Goodbye. Take care.